Hello, good evening. This is Dayhawk, and I'm doing a review of Shaman King episode 1. And this is my first ever review, so wish me luck. I've seen the original back in '04, back when we used to have weekday Saturday morning cartoons, back when we had Fox Kids, and then it got turned to the Fox blocks, which I didn't like. But that, but it led me to Shaman King, and it was a really cool show. And later on, a couple of years later, back when YouTube was in its golden age, was allowed to watch any type of show, I had the opportunity to rewatch Shaman King, the Japanese version, uncut and everything, and it made me fall in love with it even more. And this time, what I wanted to do was to do a review for this show and do maybe a little bit of a compare and contrasting between the '04 version and this current version. But unfortunately, it's been so long since I've seen the original, so my memory, it's a little bit it's like I remember some bits and pieces of it, but not as much. So I will try my best to remember, but you know, like I said, I will try my best to remember. But overall, what I think about the first episode was that it was exactly like the original first episode, with minor changes, of course, with the art and the graphics and like that. But when it comes to story, in the beginning, where the grandpa tried to kill Hao as a baby, that part was added in the beginning. Originally, in the '04 version, Yo's father was telling Hao's origin story, plus that particular scene where he got severely burned, to how conjuring up his fire spirit of fire so quickly and early, and all that that started that was at the very um almost at the end of the show, but they brought it here in episode one, which it was pretty smart, and different. And then from then on, everything remained the same from the first episode, to maybe a couple of things are a little different. Like I said, my memory from the '04, it's there and it's not there. But what's the same was Morty, or Manta in the Japanese version. Excuse me. Was saw Yo at the cemetery, at the graveyard, looking um looking outward, and then Yo noticing him to come over and meet my friends, and Morty sees ghosts and he runs away. And then in the next scene, you see Morty, or Manta, whatever you prefer, um, telling people that I saw this kid. He sees ghosts, and he sees ghosts, and can and all that. You gotta believe me. And of course, the students don't believe him. Then the teacher announces Yo as the new transfer student, and for that part, I don't remember he was originally part of that class in the beginning of the '04 version. I don't remember if he was already there in '04. I don't remember. But if he did transfer, like in like if it's the same, then it stays the same. But if it's different, then I'm like, okay, that's different, but I don't remember. Um, let's see. Of course, with Montas, and can't believe it with this face expressions. It's like, why is he here of all people? Why it has to be him? And he ends up calling him out in the middle of class that's the guy. He's like, he sees ghosts, and of course Yo was like, do I know you? I don't know what you're talking about. Of course, Monta was made a fool out of himself, and then later on he tries to follow Yo everywhere, and he doesn't do anything. He just stands there and on the bridge, just looking outwards, and of course Monta got frustrated to the point where, do you seriously, uh, like, he points him out. He discovers him, just, and also telling him that you seriously think that I will confirm what you just saw last night. And it's just, it's kind of common sense. If you have a secret or like some kind of superpower, and someone sees you with it, and he goes out and tells everyone and doesn't believe him, and then calls that person out and denies it. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, Manta made a fool out of himself right there. And let's see, what I could remember too is that later on he goes back to the graveyard, and he goes, and you see Ryu and his gang, just like in the original. They're hanging out in the graveyard, destroying Amiramaru's tombstone. Then Monta gets speed up, and that's when Yo drags enough from class, saying that we're friends now, that you can see ghosts and I can see ghosts, we're friends now. It's like, I don't want to be friends with you. You're so dense and this and that. But Yo did not care. Yo did not care. And he asks about the story of Amirimaru, and goes to the museum and meets Amirimaru's best friend, which I don't remember in the original that Yo meets him there too in episode 1. Or I know definitely they meet each other later on, but I'm not completely sure that the first encounter was in episode 1. So I don't know if someone in the comment section could mention that. That could really help me out a lot. But if it did show up there, like in the original, the best friend mentions the story of him and Miramaru, and then he makes the sword, and that's when goes back to the graveyard and confronts the gang, and they have that epic fight. And of course, what was different was that in the '04, Amir Maru's mini spirit form, he's all blue, and this new current version is all gold. And it's like, oh, it's pretty different. I like it. And then you have the epic fight where it leads to evil Elvis's hair getting chopped off, and the gang just runs away. And then to the end, Amirimaru becomes Yo's partner, and the end you see Ren and Bison on the bridge saying, "Oh, I discovered a new shaman," and which leads up to the fight between those two later on. and that's how it ends. Um, what I think of it, like I said, there are a few things that were added into it that that were different. Um, the graphics were really cool. The way they updated the Spirit of Fire was really cool. How's iconic catchphrase of how small that was there too. I wish they brought back the How theme song, the first theme song. That theme song for me was iconic. Every time I hear that song, it's like, uh oh, How's here. Yeah, it's gonna get real now. um, Other than that, it brought me back a lot of memories watching it when I was 14, 15 years old. And hopefully they don't change much on this reboot like they did with Digimon, where they changed the whole story. Hopefully they don't change much in this reboot show. I personally, if I haven't said this already, I don't like reboots. They end up sucking, but I don't think it's gonna. I think it's gonna be good, but nothing pales in comparison to the original. I will always be in love with the original. That's just me. If this show turns out to be good, I mean, great. That's great. But uh, all I have to say for right now that the original is better. Who knows? Maybe I could say the 2021 version of this show got a little bit better than the original per se, but that remains to be seen. Um, Other than that, all I can say is great episode, and hope to do another review on episode 2. And until our next meeting, Johnny.